It was difficult because at first growing up, you know, I was born in a Muslim family, but I didn't take religion that seriously. So I found myself trying to detach from religion. You know, a lot of people didn't know I was Muslim, and I didn't tell them. I didn't want to because I felt like it was so bad, especially. And then there was one moment where my father, he had this magazine of like 9/11 survivors and people who died. And I think I was probably like 11, maybe, very young. And I was just going through and literally just crying, going through crying, crying, crying. And because at that point I wasn't even really educated about this religion that I was born into. So I felt like, you know, I kind of used what people said about Islam and I tried to push away from it. I felt like, how could all these people, innocent people, die for something that didn't even make sense to me? And that was before I knew anything about Islam. I wasn't very educated about it, and I didn't really want to be a part of it because I felt like that was the religion. And so, especially being in New York with the whole 9/11 thing and just seeing how a whole city, anyone you ask, is like emotionally bothered by this event that took place, I didn't want to be a part of that group. And growing up, I always found myself, you know, pushing away. I would see other Muslim girls and not want to be their friends. You know, I never thought that I would cover. I didn't cover when I was younger. I covered like last year. And I always felt like that would not be me. And to this day, people that I grew up with is like, Nakissi, what happened? And I can't even answer it. That's how much spiritually I was affected, and that's how much spiritually I wanted to find myself. This is, you know, this is not something that I was forced to do. This is something I chose to completely. Like, even my parents were a little scared being in New York, but I didn't care. I just felt like it was up to me, and so I took that choice. I took a lot of time to think about myself. I took a lot of time to think about the religion. When you sit there and really read and you really educate yourself, the religion is rooted in peace, rooted in just self-love, rooted in just making sure that the person next to you is not uncomfortable with you, making sure that the person you're speaking to is happy to speak to you, and when they leave you, they're leaving with something positive. And I'm not here to, you know, push anyone into a religion. I'm here to use my body, me as a person, and make sure that the person around me is not uncomfortable. I'm here to just make people, like, I want to be kind to people. You know, I want people to walk away when they meet me and say, you know, speaking to her was nice, speaking to her was cool. Definitely. I had a lot of depression issues, and when I was younger, because I didn't want to be of a certain religion, I definitely did not take to religion, and so that just made me push it away more. And just growing up, I was extremely suicidal in like the weirdest way. Now, when I think about it, it's kind of weird because I can't really fathom how I was in that mind space. But just growing up, I had a lot of insecurities, and it just made me a closed-off person. I was extremely, extremely shy. I didn't speak to people. I didn't want to speak to people, and I didn't know what I was going to do to break out of that. And I feel like when I started to meet people who were just genuinely kind, people who didn't have any ulterior motives, just people who were just here to inspire others, who were just here to be kind, that's when I started to have a different outlook on life. Because growing up in Harlem too, it's like no one was really there to make you feel better about yourself. That was not no one's MO. Everybody was there, you know, just to do what they had to do, and no one cared about people's stories. That was not a thing. So, you know, growing up, I got that from different places, and that just allowed me to be a little bit more comfortable within myself. You know, I still struggle, but it's a lot better than it used to be. It wasn't my religion, but I found that because it's my religion, that had to be incorporated somehow, just because it is who I am. But what made me start it was the fact that I felt like I had a different perspective on things, and I felt like I had a different voice, and it would just be a pity to keep it to myself, you know? And it kind of was other people, because I didn't know what a blog was until like late high school. And people used to tell me, like, you know, do a YouTube video. I didn't want to do videos. I don't like videos, but I'm a writer at heart, so it just came natural. So that's what I just started to do, and then surely but slowly it just became itself, and I just found myself just telling people about it, and I just found myself taking it more seriously and just growing with that. For me, that really shows my growth, because I started it when I still was unsure about myself, and nowadays it's like you can just see the difference in what I speak about, what I write about, how I write, and it's fun to see the growth. I feel like the way Muslim women, because I'm a Muslim woman, I feel like a lot of times nowadays it's better, but I think the issue is not the representation, the issue is the miseducation. A lot of people don't even take the time to read, and I was one of those people. So a lot of people don't really know what the religion is, even what the fundamentals are, because honestly, you don't have to go any deeper than fundamentals. You'll just know that a lot of the things that people associate Islam with are just wrong. It's, it just doesn't make sense from the very basic plain view of it. But my issue with media is there's not a lot of women of color, Muslim women of color. Nowadays I see a lot of, beauty vloggers and beauty writers and all this stuff, but it's not a lot of black women, and that's where, I feel like I come in. I feel like a lot of people equate Islam with this Middle Eastern, profile, and that's really not true. It's a religion of different ethnicities, from different cultures, different backgrounds. People convert every single day, and I feel like we need to do our best in trying to show the whole picture. I think that's my issue with it. There's no whole picture. It's very fragmented, and it's not good for the culture. It's not good for people, because, media is what we know. Media is our primary way of learning things, and if it's not depicted in media, then we don't go any further. So definitely, that is my MO.